What's up everybody? Welcome back to the Cookline. I'm Charlie and this is Micah. He's my little sous chef for the day. And on today's episode, we're gonna make beef tapa. If you don't know what beef tapa is, it's a very beloved Filipino breakfast dish, but you can have it for any time of the day. It's a garlic cured beef. And for our cut of beef today, we're gonna use short rib, and little guy's so excited to get going. So let's do this. All right guys, for starters, we're gonna work on our marinade. Garlic, I'm gonna do about a dozen garlic cloves. We need sugar. I'm using brown sugar. You can use white granulated. You can use honey, but we need some sort of sweetener for the curing process. 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. And then we need salt. Sea salt, preferably. We're gonna go 1.5 tablespoons. And then I've got here black peppercorns. I'm gonna go with a teaspoon of that. I've got here something special. Sichuan peppercorns. These peppercorns add a different kind of spice. They're pepper spicy, but they also add an element of like numminess that I really enjoy. I'm gonna add a teaspoon of that as well. Now we're gonna add a few liquids. I'm just gonna add a dash of white cane vinegar, a dash of Calamansi juice. And then we're gonna add a half cup of water to this, and then we're gonna blend it. So our marinating liquid is back, and at this point we're gonna give it a little taste, see if it needs more salt, more sugar. Tapa should be lightly sweet, and I think it needs a little bit more salt. So I'm gonna add another half teaspoon of salt to that, and that should do it. Clean cutting board, some beef short ribs. These short ribs are off the bone, and this was in the freezer last night. It was frozen solid, and I transferred it into my fridge, so it should be slightly frozen. This makes it easier to cut when it's slightly frozen. We're trying to get some really thin slices of beef here. Cool. All right, so how thick am I slicing my pieces of short rib? About that thick. A little less than a centimeter. All right, you wash your hands. We got a Ziploc bag. You get a better look at what we're doing here. So I'm just gonna create a little boat so that we can drop our marinade in here. Cool. Beef's going in. I'm gonna wash my hands. Go. So we're gonna close this up and try to get out as much air as we can. Cool. Just like that. Move your beef around a little bit. Make sure everything is nicely coated. And this is gonna marinate preferably overnight, 6 to 12 hours. See you guys tomorrow. All right, so it's been about 14 hours since we started marinating our tapa, and just looking in here, you can see it took up a little bit of color. Now what we're gonna do next is we're gonna air dry it a little bit. In the Philippines, they sun dry their beef. What we're gonna do to replicate the sun drying is I've got our oven preheated to 200 degrees, and we're gonna sort of par cook this and dry it out in the oven at 200 degrees for 2 hours. So, to get started, we're gonna open this guy up. I've got a baking sheet lined with a silk hat. And if you've got one of these things, I suggest to use it. Like a little metal drying rack will work as well. I just find these easier to clean than that. Anyway, here we go. So you're gonna drain off any excess marinade. Keep it in the bag. Keep in mind, as this cooks, the meat will also shrink. So if they're touching now, they probably won't be at our 1 hour point. That looks like all of it. So check this out, guys. Our beef tapa, short rib beef tapa, ready to go in the oven. 200 degrees. We'll check on it every 30 minutes, but I feel like for this amount, we're gonna go for 2 hours at 200 degrees. Let's go. Okay, so while our tapa is in the oven drying out, we are gonna process some garlic. And we're gonna use this garlic for a couple things. One, most importantly, our spiced vinegar. And two, our garlic fried rice, equally as important. There we go. Cool. Now we've got our chopped garlic. We're gonna put some aside for our spiced vinegar. And believe it or not, this remaining amount is gonna be all for garlic rice. I'm making a pretty big batch because that stuff goes quick. All right, let's work on the spiced garlic. Some cane vinegar. And then an optional ingredient, I'm gonna add a Fresno pepper to my spiced vinegar. I just add a small pinch of sea salt. Another stir, and then this is ready. Okay, let's start cooking. Add a little bit of oil. We're gonna start frying our garlic for fried rice. Add a little bit more oil to that. We kind of want it deep frying. As soon as you start to see your garlic change in color, like there's a light browning going on right now, I'm gonna add the garlic rice because this can easily go from perfectly cooked garlic to burnt, bitter mess. So here's some leftover rice. You might see a little bit of chicken pieces in my rice because I do this thing where if I have leftover fried chicken, I cook it with my rice, and it flavors the rice in a nice way, and it really gives another use for day-old fried chicken. If you guys want a video on that, let me know. I'll just do a quick one, throw it up on YouTube. That way you guys have something to reference if you want to try it. Well, so as this rice heats up again, it'll start to unclump. As you can see here, I've got some really sticky areas that are now getting coated with oil that are separating from itself. The important thing here though is once you get your rice in, you want to flip it over so that it's making contact with the pan, and you want to take your garlic off of the pan because otherwise it could burn right beneath your rice and you wouldn't even know it until you take a scoop of rice and put it on top, and then you see burnt garlic. So as you can see, in the short amount of time that it took to throw our rice in here, unclump it, and stir it around a little bit, our garlic already got a crispy brown. So this is nearly done. The only two ingredients, well technically three, that go into my garlic rice is garlic, a rice, well my rice has chicken in it so we're not going to count that ingredient, but my third ingredient is salt, a little bit of sea salt. Some households add onion, some households add soy sauce. I like to keep it simple. Yeah, that doesn't go to say that it won't be amazing because garlic rice is delicious on its own. Just a little flip. And this garlic rice is done. This is our beef tapa. Straight out of the oven. It's been in there for about 2.5 hours. And it doesn't quite look like anything I would say I want to eat right at this moment, but trust, as soon as we deep fry or shallow fry these guys, it's gonna be so delicious and amazing. Okay, I had some oil preheating on the oven, and I just transferred it to our frying pan, and we've got our tapa right here. A few pieces at a time. I may have added one or two too many, but as long as you get this nice sizzle, you're good. Just grab a separate plate for the finished pieces. All right, here we go. This beautiful specimen is what you want to see. This guy's ready to come off now. Another piece right there that looks really good. So while your tapa is still hot and sizzling, just hit it with a tiny bit of salt to bring out the flavors in this cured beef. Get our next batch in. All right, I'm gonna finish frying off that tapa. You guys hang out, and when we come back, we're gonna be ready to plate. See you then. Tapa is done. Let me show you what that looks like. Boom. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, while it's still hot, let's get our stuff together. We're gonna make an egg because we're doing tapsilog. That was just a little bit of non-stick Pam spray. And I'm gonna do my egg sunny side up. Move this pan out of the way. All right, plating. I got my favorite plate out. I just grabbed a little piece of banana leaf, and this is purely for aesthetics. For starters, our garlic rice. You could do a mold so that you shape the garlic rice all fancy, but I like this rustic, homemade look, so I'm going with that. And put a little dipping bowl right here, and get our spiced vinegar, and give it a nice stir, and then add that right to our bowl as well. Now the star of our show, our tapa. I'm just gonna layer this guy here a little bit, a few pieces so we match our rice to ulam ratio. Our egg. Let's just lay that right there on top of the rice. I notice our plate is lacking a little bit of color, so I just grabbed some Chinese chives from the fridge. Give these a quick wash. That's it, y'all. We did it. We made restaurant quality short rib beef tapa. I hope this motivates you guys to try this recipe at home. And if you haven't already, like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. I love you guys. Peace. Man, what a ride. Last bite. Can't wait for lunch so I can have some more.